he was able to do that. I guess maybe money talks, I guess. Maybe. I do not know. That is a really, really good question. But, you know, we are not going to see any dropbacks from the WWE. Now, I'm not saying he hasn't gotten any criticism from this, because Vince McMahon has gotten a lot of criticism for continuing to put on wrestling shows. Lots of wrestlers have criticized them, even former wrestlers, such as Ryback. Ryback criticized the WWE, and he wants the wrestlers to stop wrestling, you know, for their health. And I can understand that, but at the same time, is it because he wants them for their health, or because he's pissed off at the WWE because they still won't let him use the name Ryback? Good question, huh? Good question. So, while we wait on Man Pondo to come in, if you want to call in, the number is 844-200-4449. That is 844-200. No. What am I doing? That is 657-383-1521. 657-383-1521. Even your boy Nightmare Jones messes up every once in a while. Night Owl, are you back with us?
I am back, bro. I am absolutely back, and I want to apologize to our friends that are watching through the Facebook live stream. I'm getting messages like, yo, I love that open. We love the open. Can you guys do the open again? So, you know what? We're going to do the open again. I don't care. I know that sounds a little crazy, but we're going to do it again because I know how much you guys love the open, and we're going to hit y'all with Carl Lewis again. This is one of those crazy shows, and you know what? We're going to be a little bit more off the cuff moving forward, too, because I think we got maybe a little stale. Nobody said that, but I kind of feel like, hey, you know what? Let's have more fun with the show. Let's mix it up. Let's hit some more drops. Let's get some more callers in. Let's get FWWC people early, and let's get, you know, regular callers during FWWC. The way I look at it is, if you guys tune into the show and you're used to structure and you like that, that's cool, but we also got to learn to mix it up a little bit. I want to make sure that the show is different and it feels fun, and that's what we're going to do. So, Jonesy, don't excuse me for doing this without talking to you first, but I really think it behooves us to appease the fans, and the fans love the intro of the Wrestle Talk podcast, and they love the Carl Lewis segment. And you know what? My whole joint was going haywire during the intro, and that was quite frustrating. So, Jonesy, I know this sounds crazy, but we're going to go ahead in the intro one more time. We're going to hit Carl Lewis one more time because I didn't get to remove my cap and take a swig for the greatest country on God's green earth. So, Jonesy, go ahead and cue it up, baby. Let's hit the intro one more time for the people in the back. Let's do it.
So we want the Carl Lewis?
No, the intro. Let's do the intro, then we'll do the Carl Lewis.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here goes the intro once again.
There you go.
Money.
Everybody's got a price. Everybody's gonna pay. Everybody's
there you
the
go.
$1 million man, and you're listening to the Wrestle Talk podcast.
And I'm the Night Owl. You're tuning in to Wrestle Talk. 657-383-1521. We'll be discussing WWE, NXT, Lucha Underground, ROH,
We back.
fantasy wrestling, and we have some of the best damn interviews for professional and independent wrestling that you've ever heard.
And I'm Joe Lamb. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seatbelts, keep your arms in the vehicle at all times. Wrestle Talk begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the ride.
Yes. I love it. And you know what else we're going to do? We're going to do the Mexican Scream again because I'm sick of the show opening up and we're always botching the spots. So we're going to do it again. So, ladies and gentlemen, introduce the host with the mostest, the fat boy Mexican that loves pro wrestling. Go ahead and give me my Mexican yell, Dinter Timmy. I don't give a damn. And I'm going to take a swig for the working man, too. Shout out to Stone Cold. Go ahead and hit it one time, baby.
Every single time.
All right, and last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to ask everybody to respectfully remove their caps, place their hands over their hearts as we pay homage to the greatest country on God's green earth, America, damn it. Hit the music. Can you see?
And the rocket. Uh-oh. I'll make up for it now. For the land of
The free.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. I am sitting here drinking my Dr. Keith.
Dos X, bro. Dos X. Say it right.
That's what I said. I
No,
said Dos Equis.
no, you said Dos X.
I said Dos Equis.
No, you said Dos Equis. All right, guys, real quick, we're going to jump right into the callers. We know you want to talk about WWE. We want to talk about Ryback's comments. We want to talk about AEW not running shows anymore. We want to talk about the XFL shutdown. Whatever y'all want to talk about, 657-383-1521. Somebody on the Facebook live stream, please, guys, share, hearts, thumbs up. You know what to do. Share, like, thumbs up, or thumbs up, hearts. You know what to do. Guys, right now is a real difficult time during quarantine season, quarantine 2020, and we want to thank a couple of you guys. We've already had 4 sales of the Wrestle Talk Podcast mug, which half of the proceeds are going to either your favorite wrestler, promotion, or charity of your choice. The mugs, the price hasn't changed because it's really a great quality mug. Shout out to Raft Bums Engraving in Osawatomie, Kansas. Scott and his wonderful wife have done a great job for us, a great job for us. They've etched these customized mugs for us with the Wrestle Talk logo. This is series 1 of the mugs. And then you can get your name engraved down at the bottom. That's $20 plus shipping to wherever you live. And we'll ship anywhere in the world. But half of the profits, which is $5, we make 10. It's half of the profits go to either your favorite wrestler. We'll send it to their PayPal or Cash App or whatever, promotion or charity. So if you've been on the fence about getting a Wrestle Talk Podcast mug and Trump sent you that check, baby, hit the direct deposit sometime this week. Hit your boys up and do something for the pro wrestling community, man. We're going to jump into the callers. I just want to make sure to make sure that you guys knew how you can contribute, because I know it really sucks for us to not have wrestling, but imagine how much it sucks for the promoters and the talent to not have wrestling, which for them is not only a form of entertainment, it's also an additional means and source of income. So if you think about it like that, $20 doesn't really sound that bad. It doesn't sound that bad, especially when you're getting a mug that's going to last you a lifetime. If you take care of it, it's going to last you a hell of a lot longer than a t-shirt. I'll tell you that much. And this is bar quality, my friends. Listen. This is a bar quality mug. WrestleTalkPodcast.com, or just shoot us a DM for more information on how to get going on your Wrestle Talk Podcast mug. Jonesy, what are we talking? Who are we talking to? Let's go ahead and get rolling with these punches, baby. I'm ready to go. Really? So interesting, Joe. Tell me more. I can't hear a damn thing. Jeez Louise, Papa Cheese.
Well,
There you are. Jonesy, thank goodness. I thought you left me.
Good news, though.
What's up?
I do have good news.
What's up?
We got my Man Pondo on hold.
Yeah, baby, let's go! Excellent. Well, listen, guys, it's going to be a jam-packed show. Assad, Hardcore Haas, Voorhees, my man calling from the 705 or 785. We're going to get to all of you guys immediately after we talk to a true legend of the professional wrestling world, a man who's had books written about him, and most importantly, he's a longtime member of the Wrestle Talk family. Enter Timmy, you know what to do, baby. Cue up that music as we welcome back to the show a true wrestling legend, Man Pondo. Hit the music. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Miss, what's going on, sir? How are you today?
Man, this bullshit got us all cooped up in our houses. It's time to talk. Let's talk, guys. What do you want to talk about?
Oh my goodness, well, I mean, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about, too. I mean, we can talk about your illustrious deathmatch career. We can talk about the promotion Girl Fight, but let's go and talk about that. What made you want to start up that promotion Girl Fight?
Well, that ungrateful motherfucker, Sarah Logan.
Oh.
Sarah, Crazy Mary Dobson, Sarah Bridges, whatever you want to call her. Back in the day, she was having a lot of trouble networking, and some of the girls, I know how this business works. I know how girls work. Some of the girls was getting her to talk bad about some of the girls in the business and then go back and say, hey, this is what Crazy Mary said about you. So I know this business is 40% wrestling, 10% showing up, 50% networking on who you know. So it was my plan to start Girl Fight where we could not only bring in top-notch girls for Sarah to wrestle and learn from, but also to network and become friends with. That way she could, skyrocket her career real fast, which did happen. She in her 5th and 6th year, she was been to Japan, Mexico, Scotland, Germany, England. In her 5th, 6th year, she was on NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. And then people used to say that we're doing things wrong, but she's proof that we was doing things right. But as soon as she got what she wanted, she found somebody else, and she can go fuck herself for all I care. But you got to admit, it did work out just the way that we thought it was going to, and that's why I good. And when she left to go to the WWE, we kept, some of the girls was like, Pondo, whatever you do, don't close the company, we'll work hard and all this. And Sue Young was one of the main ones that said, hey, you're helping girls. And that's kind of what it was all about. We would bring in still top-notch girls, and we would put them versus the newer girls like Billy Starks and Ella and Alice Crowley. We put Alice Crowley versus Angelina Love, and then we put Billy Starks versus not only Sue Young but Jordan Grace. All the girls were making me really proud, but there in the end, there was a few who would say that they were all about Girl Fight, but they wouldn't advertise for Girl Fight, and it was advertising for other companies and putting them over huge and not Girl Fight, and saying, hey, this promotion's having a show, but really not tell me about it that way. They could do what they wanted, but blue ones like Mickey Knuckles and just countless others. Girl Fight's still here, but we just don't have a place to go like every other wrestling promotion. So as soon as this stuff all dies and stops being crazy out in the world, Girl Fight will return.
Absolutely. I cannot wait. I myself found out about Girl Fight Wrestling from a YouTube. I happen to like deathmatch wrestling, and there was a YouTube video in June of 2018. Girl Fight Wrestling did a show with Chicago's resistance wrestling, and they put on an 8-woman deathmatch tournament. Can you tell us about putting on that deathmatch tournament?
We put one on in 2018, and we put one on in 2019. It's called the Death Becomes Her tournament, which we did in 2018, and then we did Death Becomes Her 2. 2019, we were untouched. We was undisputed, the best women's deathmatch 8-women tournament that you could have saw in 2019. Of course, there wasn't another one in 2019, but that beside the point. That doesn't mean a thing. We were the best. Girl Fight had put on the best all-girls deathmatch tournament in 2019, and now that we had the success of the 2, now I hear there's some shit promoter in this area who's gonna start doing his own, which he quit doing them because they wouldn't draw it. But anyway, the first one was the winner that went all the way through was Mickey Knuckles. The second one was Randy West. But there were other deathmatch girl stars in there. There was Jules Malone. There was help me out. There was
Rebecca Payne.
Rebecca Payne, Nina Monet. I mean, you know, we just had 8 girls. That was we had Maria Manic. We had 8 girls that couldn't wait to show the guys that they could do it too. And now we have 2 DVDs available of Death Becomes Her and Death Becomes Her 2, put on by Resistance Pro and Girl Fight.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to take a look for the other one. Renee, why don't you come in here with whatever questions that you have? Because I know you've been chopping at the bit. Because last time you didn't get to talk to Man Pondo.
I know, dude, and I went back and listened to the episode, and I was like super jealous, man. So this is my first opportunity. Pondo, thank you for making time for us. The first thing I wanted to get into is I know you've accomplished a lot in your pro wrestling career. I also know that you continue to contribute to the world of pro wrestling, so thank you for being here. I'm curious, though, how did it feel to have a guy kind of follow you around, call you, and want to know every single detail about you? Because obviously you've had a book written about you by a very, very dear friend of the Wrestle Talk podcast. Why don't you tell us about the experience, and why don't you tell us about the book and some of the stuff that's in it?
All right. Well, Don Cosper wrote a book called Bluegrass Brawlers. I can't even remember what year that was, but he asked me for a quote, and of course, it got put in the book. Well, people kept telling John Cosper, "Oh my God, if you had Man Pondo tell you one paragraph, you need to go ahead and write a book about him because he's funny and he has exciting stories and all this horseshit." And me, I don't see it. I just see it's me being the jack-off that I am and telling people things that happen and all that. But he kept asking me, and I kept saying, nah, I'm not really interested. I don't think people really want to know what I have to say. Well, then one day, I don't know, 3 people said, "Hey, are you going to do that book?" So finally I called John Cosper. I said, "Okay, I'm ready. Let's do the book." But the time when I said yes, he had already told Dr. D. David Schultz that he was going to do his book. So that's what took much longer because he was going in between Dr. D's and my book. Dr. D's, he would do, I believe, 5 days a week, and mine we would do every time he had. We would go out to Denny's in Clarksville, and they had like an enclosure room, and we would go in there and we would record the stories, and basically that's all I would do. I would just tell the same stories that I told everybody else, and then he wrote them in a book. He put pictures in this book. There's 248 pages, I believe, and it's some of my greatest accomplishments. It's some of my worst accomplishments. It's some embarrassing stories, some stories that makes me seem cool. There's 4 pages of a comic book that the Bloody Midgets put me in. I like to fuck with scammers. There's a whole scammer call in there where I was messing with the scammers. I love to do that. And I mean, just the pictures alone. If you're a Man Pondo fan, there's plenty of pictures in there, and it's called Memoirs of a Madman. And if you're interested in getting a copy of that book, there's two ways you can do it. You can go to Amazon.com and search Memoirs of a Madman, or you can write to EatSleepWrestle.com, and John Cosper will be able to get you a autographed copy of the book. And of course, I'm the one that it's about, so maybe people are just telling me what I want to hear, but I haven't had one person say this book was terrible. I had everybody who's read it tell me, you know, it made them laugh.
Well, let's be clear though, Pondo. Let's be clear. John Cosper could make a blade of grass seem interesting. So and that's not to take away from. Listen, and that's not to take away from your career, because I know we could do a full hour-long interview and you could talk to us about all the incredible stuff that you've done and everything that you've got going, like LB5, which I want to get into. But John is a tremendous author. I mean, you talk about your book and some of the other stuff that he's done, including like Bluegrass Brawlers, which is like the history of all of Kentucky wrestling. Like, the dude is an amazing talent, and I know he's been recognized at Cauliflower Alley and stuff like that. I just think people need to acknowledge that this dude is writing about wrestling in the purest sense. So if you're a pro wrestling purist and you love the history of it, start with John Cosper. Trust me, you're not going to regret it. I'm sure you guys both agree with that.
I'd like to go one step further in that. I don't know if you guys have heard, but Tracy Smothers is in the fight of his life right now, and John Cosper just got done writing Tracy Smothers' book. So I do believe, I don't know the percentage, but I know some of that money goes to Tracy Smothers. So whether you're a Tracy Smothers fan, whether you're not, if you're a John Cosper fan, or if you're a wrestling fan, or if you just want to help a guy who has helped so many in this wrestling business, please go out and also buy Tracy Smothers' book as well.
Well, and let me say this. Let me tell you a quick story, because I know you got a bunch of great stories, Pondo. So Tracy Smothers, 2 weeks ago, was on the Wrestle Talk podcast, radiating from where? The motherfucking emergency room, bro. This dude was in the emergency room, hospital bed, hooked up to all kinds of shit, and still did an hour, well, close to an hour long interview with us here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. We didn't twist his arm. We gave him every opportunity to back out of it with no loss to his credibility or anything like that. We're going to put him over huge no matter what, because Tracy Smothers is a legend. Bro, he did an hour from the hospital bed, and it was fantastic. Joe, please back me up on this. Please back me up on this.
He does.
Yeah.
He does know how to make it an interesting hour. I mean, if you wasn't even impressed with the stories, he did it from the fucking emergency room.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Well, listen, I want to throw it back over to Joe Pondo, but I did want to ask, because, again, I know everything's kind of at a standstill right now, but LB5, we're going to look towards the future, because we can always talk about the past. And again, everything is on hold, but maybe give us a little bit of information, because we kind of heard through the grapevine that you're working on something pretty damn special, and we want to share that with the listeners of the Wrestle Talk podcast tonight, man. Will you oblige?
Special is the word. So, Jake Manning from High Spots a long time ago, me and him was working for Gary Dameron and ASW in West Virginia, and we knew each other, and he would look at me, he would greet me, he would say hello, but we really didn't have that much to say to each other. And I'm the type of guy, if you don't want to talk to me, I understand. I'm not going to talk to you either. I'm not going to mess with you. So, long story short, a few weeks after that, I see the special called The Heroes of Burke County. Please tell me you two have saw The Heroes of Burke County.
Yes,
I have not.
Okay.
I have seen it.
So, I was such a huge fan of the Heroes of Burke County that next time I saw Jake, I went up and I started talking to him, and I was like, dude, that was some of the funniest shit that I ever saw. And that's when he said, I'm not going to lie, I didn't know how to take you, but I'm a big Man Pondo fan. I was like, what? Why? You know, but anyway. So, I told him about this company in Cleveland, Ohio. And so we both went to Cleveland, Ohio, and plus two shows, and then Cleveland, Ohio became $5 wrestling. Please tell me you guys know $5 wrestling with Freight Train and Jeff Hart and all those guys. So,
Yes.
Okay, so.
Wait, is that up in Indiana?
We were doing.
Is that up in Indiana?
Sorry, go ahead.
Is that up in Indiana, that $5 wrestling?
It's in North Carolina is where it came out of, but I started doing with Jake and Colt and Marty DeRosa $5 wrestling shows in Charleston, West Virginia. And they were pretty successful, and what was funny, it wasn't even mostly fans. It was more the boys that was coming. So the wrestlers knew when to cheer, when to boo, and all that. So it just made it a great environment, and it gave the wrestlers something to come just to sit down and have a good time with. Well, Jake started getting bad criticism and a lot of hate from people who hated the concept of $5 wrestling. Well, I was never one of those guys. I was such a huge fan of $5 wrestling, and Jake will even tell you, I kept on him every time I saw him. Every time I would talk to him, I'd be like, we got to do $5 wrestle again. We got to do it. So finally, he contacted me, and he said, well, you've inspired me. Okay, let's do another one. So we just did one. I'm thinking 2019, November, I think it was 2019, we did a $5 wrestling show here in Jeffersonville, Indiana, and it drew over 100 people, which for $5 wrestling, that's pretty damn good. So then now, because he has his $5 wrestlers from North Carolina, and I have my LB5 guys, which is the LB5 is Little Brother 5. But we're not going to put the dollar sign in there. It's just going to be Little Brother 5 because we're charging $10 for tickets, so we can't call it Little Brother $5 wrestling. So it's just LB5, but $10 tickets. But I put my LB5 guys with, and Jake's going to drive down a $5 wrestling guy, and we're going to do LB5 shows once a month, and they're going to be awesome. And LB5 and $5 wrestling is about the only thing that's been making me smile here lately, so I can't wait for this shit to get done and all the virus to let everybody leave their houses so we can start LB5.
Wow, that's the shit. And by the way, lots of people in here showing love. Shout out to Michael, Derek. Shout out to Todd. By the way, huge super shout out to Todd for your Wrestle Talk podcast mug, man. Thank you for ordering one. We appreciate that. Let us know where you want that money to go. Pondo, you'll dig this. So we're selling these drink mugs, right? Like beer mugs. And half of our profits are going to your favorite wrestler, promotion, or charity. So we're giving the fans an opportunity to give back to you guys who are the talent, right? And there's some Anthony, Bud Burgundy, everybody, Sean, what's going on? Everybody in here showing love and respect to Man Pondo. So you got a lot of people, man, that obviously value what you've contributed to the business. And it sounds like it's far from over, right, Jonesy? Because, LB5 is going to be popping, bro. And for $5, man, I paid $50, $60, $80, $120 to go to a pro wrestling show before, and it wasn't even on the front row. So for $5, buddy, if they're selling beers, I'm there. I'm there all day long. Dude, I'm there all day long. Oh, dude, $10 tickets. Well, that's the thing, man. It's hard to come by a decent wrestling show for under $20 these days. And the fact that you're not giving up on that, Pondo, speaks to how much the fans respect you, but at the same time, how much you love and respect the fans, man. It comes through without question, even as we talk to you here tonight on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Jonesy, why don't you jump back in, man, with any other thoughts or questions, my friend?
I do. I do. See, Man Pondo was a part of what I thought was the coolest thing ever. Because me being a ICP fan and Man Pondo was a part of Juggalo Championship Wrestling, I gotta know about his time in Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
Well, it's still not done. Hopefully, this shit all gets done, and we can have the gathering of the Juggalos, which is going to be the beginning of August. It will be there's been, if it happens, that will be 21 gatherings that's happened, and that will be 21 gatherings that Man Pondo has been there for.
Whoa,
so
setting
really
records
rare,
and shit. That's
really
dope.
rare. Anybody's been to all of them, but I have been to every gathering of the Juggalos. But it's easier for me to do because I get paid to go.
Exactly. Now, Renee, I don't know if you know what the essence of the Juggalos is.
Whoa. Wait just a minute. You throw a low-key shade at me, Nightmare Jones. Why would I not know what the gathering of the Juggalos is? Come on now. And as a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, when Chuy Martinez was on here, he was giving you crap because you've never actually been to one. Listen, I might have been on the Eminem side of the beef back in the late, 2000s, but I know what a gathering of the Juggalo is. How dare you insult me like that, Nightmare Jones? If you didn't live in West Virginia, I would slap you right now.
Yeah. Man, the Insane Clan Live, that is absolutely amazing that you've been to every single one of the gatherings of the Juggalos. What's it like wrestling in front of the gathering?
The Juggalos are some of the craziest and best fans that you can think of. But if you fuck up, they're gonna let you know about it. If you say something they don't like, they're going to let you know about it. So the wrestling fans are wrestling fans, but if you can wrestle in front of the Juggalos and they love you and they show you they love you, you have accomplished something on this planet Earth because they are very hardcore fans and they like what they like and they hate what they hate. So if they like you, you're in the Juggalo world.
Oh, and Joe, let me slide in and say this. Juggalo's got some of the best bud in the country. And that's just a fact. I'm just going to let it be known right here, right now. if you want some good nug, holler at somebody that's an ICP fan of Juggalo, you're going to get some good treat. That's all I got to say about that. Go ahead, Joe.
And I guess that my last question, so I'll throw it back to Renee, is I wanted to talk about your time in Combat Zone Wrestling. What was it like wrestling for a DJ Hyde and John Zandon?
Yeah, I wrestled for DJ Hyde one time, and that was going in for the Tournament of Death. I wasn't part of the Tournament of Death, but I just wrestled Matt Tremont at one of the Tournament of Deaths. I can't remember, maybe 3 years ago. I'm the worst at time. But going through the curtain, Matt Tremont being one of their favorites, I don't get nervous. I've been doing this so long, I don't get nervous no more. But I didn't want that crowd to shit on me. And I'm wrestling one of their favorites, Matt Tremont. And when Matt Tremont, he went out first, and of course everybody's cheering Tremont's name and chanting his name and all that. And I'm thinking, they're going to hate me, they're going to shit all over me. Nothing farther from the truth. The minute I left the curtain, they're chanting my name. Nobody had forgotten who I was, and I'll never forget putting Matt Tremont in a tree of woe, putting a stop sign in front of his face, and hitting it with the bowling ball. I'll never forget the
yes!
From the fans. I took a power bomb on a dirt bike on the pedal and all that for the finish, 1, 2, 3, and at the end I stood up and all of me. So shout out to the CZW fans of today. But back in the day, it was. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, and then back in the day, when it was Zandig's, I mean, you're talking about packed houses every time that that we was in the ECW arena, the indoor volleyball park. I can't remember what the name of that was, but I was working a lot of hardcore promotions at that time. I was working, death matches everywhere I went, but CZW, they're another one. They're just like the Juggalos, because that Philadelphia has seen it all. So if you can wrestle in Philadelphia and get over with those fans, then you've accomplished something in this world, and I feel like I did that.
Absolutely.
That's the shit.
100%. All right, Renee, let's come in here with whatever final questions that you had, so.
And you know what? Thank you for this opportunity, Joe. I want to respect Pondo's time. And I've been wanting to ask this. I was going to ask it on the first show. I was digging through all my notes and stuff, and I found it. I know it's not your place, Pondo, to try to defend anyone or anything other than yourself. But even to this day, the stigma of deathmatch wrestling continues. People think it brings the sport down. It turns people off. I'm curious, because that is very much how you made your bones in the business and why you're so highly respected today. What is it about that style of wrestling that connected with you so much? And what would you say to someone that's a naysayer that you're trying to open up their mind a little bit, right? You're maybe not necessarily trying to convince them, but you're just saying, hey, why don't you give it an opportunity? Trust me, if you do, you won't regret it. What would you say to somebody who's a skeptic when it comes to hardcore / deathmatch wrestling?
Well, I've had this conversation a lot, and basically I always ask the person who's telling me that death matches are ruining the world and ruin the wrestling world, I say, do you like the Gilmore Girls? And they'll say, no, I don't like the Gilmore Girls. And I say, okay, don't watch the Gilmore Girls. Whatever you do, don't watch the Gilmore Girls. If you don't matches, don't watch death matches. I mean, that's plain and simple. But the death match fans, they know that what you're putting for the show that you're putting on in front of them is a dedication to this death match fan love of, we're not just going out there, we're not just ballet wrestling, we're not just calling spots, we're also putting our bodies on the line. I just watched the great Sasuke, of all people, land on saw blades, and I was thrown back like, holy shit, I can't believe he just did that. But him being his age, him not having to do that, but doing that, and the fans respecting him and loving him, I mean, that's the deathmatch world. So there are plenty of comedy wrestling out there. You got your Chikara, and I'm not saying comedy like they're a bunch of jokes, but they do comedy wrestling, and I don't run that down. Hell, I love some of that. There are technical wrestlers out there that put on a whole show of technical wrestling. It's not my thing. I don't watch it, but I don't run it down. I don't run comedy down. I don't run technical down. There's Mexican wrestlers out there that do trapeze acts and fly all over the place. Not my thing. I don't watch it.
Wait.
Put it down.
Wait, hold on. Pondo, you'll probably remember this. So when anybody there's like a key word in this show. If you say the word, then it's like Pee-wee's Playhouse, that sound drop hits. So you said Mexican, so we got to hit this. All right, now back to our regularly scheduled program. That's one of my favorite things in the world, the Mexican yell.
That's not racist at all.
No, hell no, it ain't.
Not racist at all.
No, it's not, because I'm Mexican. I'm allowed to roast my own people. Leave me the hell alone. Do it, though. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. The point I'm trying to make, though, is I don't sit there and you've never, as far as I know, you've never seen a deathmatch guy just shit on any kind of wrestling other than death matches. I've been around all of them. There's not a deathmatch guy that I could think of that I haven't been around, and I haven't sit there and listened to them say one thing about, oh, that company is a bunch of shit because of this and that and that. So this is my statement. If you can't appreciate death matches, why the fuck are you even worried about death matches? Don't watch death matches. Stay away from death matches. And leave it to us to entertain all of them. There's a market for Mexican wrestling. I said Mexican again, sorry. There's a market for comedy wrestling. There's a market for WWE. There's a market for AEW, which I love AEW, by the way. There's a market for Ring of Honor. There's a market for Girl Fight. There's a market for $5 wrestling. So as long as there's a market for it and fans are coming to see it, I'm not going to hate on nobody. But death matches are my thing, and that's what I love to do, and that's what I love to entertain the death match fan. And here I am, Man Pondo, doing this shit for 30 years. I'm 50 years old, still bleeding, still cutting my body for the entertainment of others.
Still whipping ass.
That's my statement on that.
Still whipping ass. Well, ladies and gentlemen, all I can say is what an honor and a privilege. Pondo, as you know, we got Kenny Casanova coming up next, man. We're going to jump right into him after this, but allow me to say, and Joe, I'm going to let you say your piece, dude. Thank you for those 30 years. Thank you for every blood, sweat, and tear. Thank you for doing podcasts like this. You've been honored throughout your pro wrestling career with many accolades, and the fact that you're humble enough to come on and do this kind of show says to me that what you said was right. I've never heard a deathmatch wrestler shit on another company. You know why? Because even in wrestling, there are elites. And there are people in this country who want to trash the yarders, who want to trash the pop-up wrestling promotions, that want to trash deathmatch wrestling. And what? You know what? The very best you can do is shut your mouth and watch something else. But if you're a true pro wrestling fan, you respect the art, and you give props to the guys that have been propping it up for over 30 years. Pondo, we love you. Thank you for being a member of the Wrestle Talk podcast. Me, truly, personally, the Night Owl. I just want to thank you for taking time to join us on the show. And I want to recommend everybody go to eatsleepwrestle.com, holler at John Cosper, get yourself a signed book. Man Pondo's got so many stories that we could probably not fill it with a month's worth of Wrestle Talk podcast episodes. So go grab the book, eatsleepwrestle.com. Love you, Pondo. Can't wait to talk to you again. Jonesy, what do you got?
Thank you for doing everything that you do. Keep doing what you do so, and hopefully one day I will get to go to the Gathering of Juggalos, and I will get to meet the man that swept me.
Yes.
Well, I'm willing to make more stories before I pass away out of this world. So Valentino, Schlack, Big Fucking Joe, G-Raver, I want to wrestle all them guys. So tell them guys that Man Pondo's coming, and I want to wrestle them. And I want to thank you guys for letting me get on here and talk my shit. And thank you, Wrestle Talk Podcast. Thank you to the fans, and I guess I will see you guys, or talk to you guys, the next time you guys let me on this shit.
Yeah, and fuck Sarah Logan.
Next time.
And fuck Sarah.
That's right.
That's right, goddammit, because Man Pondo said so.
One last thing.
What's up?
I am not going to be happy until I'm watching WWE and I look and there's a great big sign from the crowd that says F. Sarah Logan.
I'm sure somebody in the Wrestle Talk podcast family would be more than happy to do that for you, Pondo. Man, have a great night. We'll catch you later.
See you guys.
Peace.
Wow.
Bro, that was only, no, seriously, that was only like 20, almost 30 minutes with Pondo. Like, I feel like we could have done another hour. What an absolute treat to talk to a guy that's contributed so much to the world of professional wrestling. Shout out to all the contributors tonight, by the way. Sean is in the house. Colton is in the house. Susie is in the house. Colin is in the house. All these people I haven't mentioned. episode of the Wrestle Talk podcast tonight. And you know what? We're not even close to being done. We haven't even hit the halfway mark yet, folks. So if you haven't hit share, if you haven't hit like, if you haven't hit the heart, what is wrong with you? Okay, first and foremost. Number 2, Wrestle Talk podcast mugs. You heard it. We have we have another one go in the second hour. Half of the proceeds go to your favorite wrestler, promotion, or charity. So the money is going to a good place. If you've been on the fence about getting a mug, holla at your boys over at WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Jonesy, I know we got more work to do, baby. Let's keep it rolling. What's next?
All right, next, ladies and gentlemen, we have a gentleman that is coming on that is, like, there's not very many people that leave you speechless. But ladies and gentlemen, by name Kenny Casanova. Now, Kenny Casanova is trying to do something very, 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 very special. And that is and whatnot, and professional wrestlers. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let me bring on to you the one and only Kenny Casanova.
Yes, I love the Beasties, boy.
Yeah.
Let's go. Busted.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, man. To announce for the WWF. What was it like being able to announce for the WWF stuff?
Oh, man, ridiculous. I mean, at that point, I was still going to a wrestling school in Elmira, New York. And there was a local ring announcer. His name was Bill Gunn. And he did some of the B cards, not the real big cards. And he would give me a shot here and there. I actually did it a couple of times and was on some of the morning shows, and I was on a Coliseum video and stuff like that. But yeah, man, it's super cool to look out and see all of these people looking at me in the ring. You know, it's pretty cool as a kid. I was probably 21, 22, something like that. So pretty
wow.
neat. Yeah. Hey, you're saying this COVID con. COVID. What? You guys know Bill after he.
Yes, former guest. We love Bill. We love Bill. He's a former guest of the show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Legendary journalist in the world of pro wrestling. He is the Dave Meltzer of yesteryear. And a lot of people don't know that Bill's still active. So as far as I'm concerned, people talk about Meltzer all the time. Bill was the original. Dave wishes he was Bill. Okay, maybe I went a little far there. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, I went a little far. I'm sorry. But you get what I'm saying. Bill Apter is the man. We love him so much. I can't wait to have him back on. Crazy-ass New Yorker, man. Talking crap for days, and we love Bill. We love him.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to back up because you started with saying that I was doing this get together. We're calling it COVID Con, and Bill's calling it the first ever virtual wrestling con, which I think he's right. Because we have something like, we have over 50 names now. And what's happening is, and we can circle back around and talk about me. I just wanted to not correct, not incorrect, but I would. What's going to happen, officer or Dorian's going to take over a Facebook page live, a Facebook live feed, and we're going to have a new guy talking, doing a Q&A with the fans. And the idea was to make a Comic-Con, you know, a wrestling-themed Comic-Con online because people can't leave. You know, they're stuck home. They got nothing to do. You know, so we decided to bring the Comic-Con to them and let them be interactive and talk to, you know, a bunch of really, you know, who's on this as well. And I wanted to seg, you know, him out and into me to mention he's going to be on midnight
Saturday, May 2nd, bleeding into Sunday, May 3rd. And he's got a half an hour on there. And he's got all kinds of people on there. So that's kind of what Jonesy was talking about.
Yeah, well,
Awesome.
I'm here to let you know that I am 100% interested in this, and I became
Same.
1,000% interested in this when I found out that there was going to be a gentleman on the that I used to watch when I was TV, when I was young, and this gentleman actually inspired me to be wrestling Danny Davis. I am so excited for that.
Dave Davis is the man. Wrote his book with him, too, by the way. So, yeah, so I was a manager for many years of pro wrestling. I managed all kinds of what you would call Hall of Famers now, old school guys. Something online to give to the fans, and it just blew up. And that's how we came up with that COVID con thing. And yeah, Danny Davis is going to be there. Bad guy. This is the referee from WWF who,
I remember every single bit of now, the cool thing about you can before, no, wait a minute, in 2009, you managed the French Connection against and Reed Flair. How cool was it to be able to manage that match against Reed Flair? God rest his soul, ladies and gentlemen.
Really weird, random booking, right? I mean, Drake the Hammer Valentine with Reed Flair. I mean, you've got, a Hall of Famer with someone up and coming who could have been a great name, It's too bad that he left. Let me think a second. What's that? It was called out of Massachusetts somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, is that Sheldon Goldberg? Is that Sheldon Goldberg?
No, Sheldon Goldberg. What's the name of his promotion? I always worked for the other guy. I worked for Mike Sparta.
Okay, yeah, the competition. Okay, gotcha. So sorry about that, bro. Go ahead.
WWA. Yeah. So no, but that was more recent, 2009. Ric Flair was the manager on the other side. So that was something else. I was managing my guys, and Ric Flair's on the other side managing his guys. So, it's a real moment to get to work with the nation. Different shoot interviews. I made it there, and then I just do a lot of research. So there's a lot of reading online, asking other people who might have worked with them at the time to tell me the same story I just heard, and then I hear it through different couple points of perspective, and then I go back and I write it. So it takes some time. Vader's book took 4 years to write. Really tough one there. Yeah, man. I mean, we had it finished about the 2-year mark. And then he got that diagnosis that he had 2 years to live, and we're like, now we got to change all of this because it's not done. And now we have this weird, almost like death sentence, like this expiration date over his head. And how's he going to live his life now, knowing that he has, a finite time on the planet? So quite an experience. Sometimes I get choked up thinking about it. It's quite a thing to go through because almost to the T. Once he got that 2 years to live diagnosis, when that ended, we lost a good one there.
Damn.
Yeah, I just. Why don't you come in here with whatever questions that you have? Because I know you've been messaging me. You've been chomping at the. It's your time, so go right ahead.
Well,
You notice I just bummed him out and he threw it over to you.
No, not at all, not at all, bro. And here's the thing: I just wanted to bide my time because, we try to do our research here. Shout out to the Wrestle Talk Podcast Research Department, led by Luke Roberts, who helps us prepare for the shows. I mean, I'm reading through your stuff, Kenny, and it's a surprise to me, and I will admit that I didn't know a whole bunch about you coming into the interview. And then I'm sitting here and I'm reading the research that Oliver combined research, and I'm like, this guy has lived my dream life, and I'm kind of salty. I'm kind of salty right now. Okay, I'm kind of salty. Go ahead. What'd you say?
Nice. Yeah, I appreciate it. That's a compliment. Thank you.
Okay, no, and it's definitely meant to be. So, one of the first things that I wanted to ask you was a guy that I think that is highly respected in the world of pro wrestling, but hardly ever gets mentioned, especially because he was such a big guy that so many can do, and they go, wow, if guys of the past could do this, wrestling would have been this and that way back in the day. Listen, Big Van Vader is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. And I don't mean he's the biggest draw ever, or he had the, whatever. Right? So the most, nothing like that. Just personally, I thought he was one of the greatest wrestlers of my childhood, because I was born in '84. So I know you've had some experiences with him, bro. Do you have one Leon White story, the white kid who grew up in Oakland? And I've done my research. I love Vader so much. Like, what a freaking badass dude. You have one story with the experiences with Big Van Vader?
Saying this, I'm sitting in my basement. I'm looking at a singlet of his on the wall that his son gave me. Super cool. It's the same singlet that's on the book. Just says Vader Time, and I got it hanging on my wall here. So like something else for you to mark out to each other.
That's sick. That's so sick.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah. So like, well, at least for the phone calls and stuff, we would talk for hours. We would just sit and talk. And I guess it's a funny story for you. He had, he never got into the Hall of Fame. Just because that's what WWE does. If they know you want it, they hold it out of your, a little bit out of your reach, and make you grovel for it a little bit, And I think that's what they were doing to him at the time, because he kind of wanted it. Because he competed in the Super Bowl, he had a Super Bowl ring, and he figured the Hall of Fame would be like the next feather in his hat to really show that he did something great, So they did let him induct Stan Hansen in the ring. You all remember Stan Hansen? He wrestled. Stan Hansen wrestled for All Japan. He wrestled for Bob. As you will recall, perhaps, everyone remembers that the reason Vader got noticed was that Van Hansen.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Here, baby.
So I'm talking to him. Yeah. So I'm talking to him on the phone, and he's telling me he's inducting him, and he's like, he's like, I want to stand out. And I'm like, well, I think the best way you can stand out is you got to do something visual. And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, you remember Kurt Angle? He took the milk and he held it up over his head and poured the milk over his head when he was inducted. And, any moment where somebody does something visual, I said to him, that they can replay in the credits is going to be remembered. It's much like in a wrestling match. You remember funny spots in a match, or gimmick spots in a match. Edge at WrestleMania going through a table with fire and thumbtacks. They're going to show that again, and they're going to play it over and over again. He agreed. He was like, yeah, man, you're right. It's like, we got to do something visual. So I'm like, you should do something with the eye and make it funny. And he's like, I don't think so. I'm like, well, how about this? I'm like, what if we get those slinky glasses and we, you know what I'm
The
talking
eyeball?
about? The eyeball.
Of course.
I'm like, let's get a pair of those and we'll take one of the eyeballs out. So it just looks like regular glasses. And you put it in your coat and you say you're about to read something or what have you. You can't answer. Hold on a second. Let me get my glasses out. And then you put them on and then the eye pops. Some people won't, but the people that will crack up and they'll be your visual moment. He's like, oh man, I don't know. You know, and now I'm selling this to a guy who really do comedy. You know, he's like, he's known for beating ass, just being brutal. And he laughed. It sounded like this on the other side of the phone. He's like, he's like, where the fuck are we going to get one of those pair of glasses? So I started looking, man. He had a week or so until half find it in a red pair. So that was. Well, I'm watching it. He's kind of saying a lot of stuff I wrote for him in the speech. I'm like, this is awesome, but nobody knows. He reaches in his jacket, and there it is, the glasses, he pops them on.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kenny, that's fantastic, bro, and I really appreciate that. I know you guys hold some of those stories near and dear to your heart. The flag across the screen. It's obvious that the folks that are listening to this are appreciating it. So I guess that leads me to my next question. So do you have a personal highlight in your many years in the sport so far? I know that you've managed, you've produced, you've written, you've basically done in the world on a lot of different levels, in time, or maybe just one specific event that you kind of looked around and you're like, wow, I'm living my freaking dream right now. And if so, could you share it with us?
Jeez, I mean, ring announcing for WWE was cool. I also ring announced up in the Glen Falls Civic Center, which is a little smaller than the Times Union Pepsi Arena out here in Albany, New York. Same type of thing. So those are like cool moments, getting in the ring and doing, you know, have a the main kind of scene, or
dude, and whatever comes to mind first for you. So if it's like a behind the scenes personal deal, which just knowing the fan base, I think they would probably prefer that one. But if it's something that you did on a show as a performer and you think it's sick, then you can share that one, dude. It's really completely up to you.
All right, how about this is kind of a cool moment. I think I'll get the date right. I was like, let's say 1997 in Schenectady, New York. That's upstate, a couple hours up from New York City. I was promoting for a promotion, NBW. It's called New Breed Wrestling. And we had King Kong Bundy versus Primo Canera III, his name was. He went on to be Big Guido in ECW, big tall guy that the full-blooded Italians had, like a bodyguard.
Hey, speaking of Tracy Smothers, we were just talking about Tracy Smothers with Man Pondo. That's funny that you bring that up.
Nice. Yeah. So we had King Kong Bundy versus Big Guido, and they're in the ring. And after that, we're supposed to have a big battle royal to crown the NBW champions. This is like one of the first shows they were throwing up this way. And two guys, King Kong for the other guy, 60-something big guy. The ring collapsed in the middle of the ring while they were wrestling. And I was managing Bundy at the time, and I was a bit of a booker. So I'm like, how are we going to do this? It's supposed to be Battle Royal after that. Kind of like Bundy. It looked like someone dropped a boulder in the middle of the ring, and like all the corners were pitching in. So
yeah, boy.
Like, well, what do you do? You know, and maybe a few moments before that, I had another moment. I got to sing the national anthem with Nikolai Volkov. So, like, I managed Nikolai Volkov. And in turn, with the opponent, it was a crazy night, all this stuff going on, right? And then the ring broke. So I go in the back, and Nikolai's there, and Iron Mark Sharp's there, and they're like, what are we going to do? Battle Royal? We just call it a day? I'm like, reverse Battle Royal. And they're like, what? And I'm like, you guys got to get into the ring. The first one that can climb into the center of the ring wins. And they're like, what the hell is that?
Why has no one done that before? That's freaking genius.
Yeah, no one had done it. Now, you know, I listened to the Conan podcast, and they make fun of this match. I guess somebody did something like this in Impact Wrestling, but it was like 2005, or it was many years later. But I had to do it. Like, so I'm just like, yeah, that. Reverse Battle Royal. And then we announced it. And, man, it was a funny thing, because this was when ECW was taken off, and, like, there was garbage wrestling. So it was able to happen in that everybody just beat each other up outside the ring and everything. And, you know, goal in the ring, and then they become the champ. But no, that's not time yet. Not time to do that. And, people are taking chair shots. Someone get hit with a Nintendo. They did that. Brought stuff to throw in the can for a hardcore match. And we had all these cans left over of stuff that the hardcore match guys were like, we're not using this stuff's evil. Well, they a chainsaw, I mean, just ridiculous stuff. Guys, some of these old school guys are like, you know, having each other with weapons. That's not really their thing, but they're doing it. And eventually, I think I am like, fans loved it. They went nuts for it. But some quick thinking, and I was kind of proud that
when you go back and you make kind of stuff. I guess my final question is, Kenny, how are you coping with the quarantine, COVID-19? What have you done during this time to keep yourself productive? Are you writing? Are you producing videos? Are you doing any sort of promoting? Like, what have you been doing to keep yourself occupied? Because I know so much of your life is absorbed by professional wrestling. Now that everything's basically other than down, or what to keep you busy over these last months?
this COVID con is only occupied a day or two, yes, or something like that, and I'm dipping back into my but to be another writer to me, and we said, hey, let's throw that together. All of a sudden, everybody just threw in because nobody's got anything going on, you know. And they also want to make things better for everybody else. I mean, people are generally good people when you think about that. Back when I wrote Kamala's book, the wrestling fans came together and they raised $60,000 for Kamala when he lost his leg to diabetes. And I threw my hat into becoming an author.
Which, by the way, huge. Sorry to interrupt, Kenny. So, by the way, huge respect to UFC Hall of Famer Pat Milicic and our boy. Podcast, it's me speaking to you. He spoke to Kamala, and he was to help Kamala in his recovery. So shout out to Jay Hollywood and shout out to UFC Hall of Famer Pat Milicic, who happened to be sponsored. Yes, we love you guys. Got him out. Sorry about that, Kenny.
It's great to hear stuff like that. For Kamala. They almost took his house away. I mean, because the guy has to pay his own medical bills for the most part. You know, a lot of the retired wrestlers, there's no sort of medical or anything. They're considered contractors, as we all know. So when bad things go down with this, if you're not necessarily on good favor with WWE, which he's not all that much, you know, he's had to incur in the yeah. So my time because it's like falling together easily. Like DDP said, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? And Sid's going to come and do it. You know. So you would say, okay, so maybe you're right. I can't really explain this to you, but having this much free time, it's. I don't want to say. I guess what it is it's such an uncertain, weird time that it has crippled my creative ability a little bit, and I can't write that well. Like the last couple of weeks, I'm like, I'm not good at this right now. And man, and this coming from somebody who last year I wrote the Finish Vader's book, I wrote Sabu's book, and also Tito Santana's book all in 1 year. It came out. I put 3 books out, but this Corona thing has kind of made me. I can't explain that. Just I'm a little I'm not as sharp as I should be, and I think it's just probably because I'm like bummed about all this crap in the news and this and that. I'm also an English teacher, and I've been able to train the students, and I have a daily lesson that I do with VOTEC kids where I'm teaching them English, how to make resumes and different things like that, 12th graders. So that kind of is occupying my whole day. They call it working from home, and school would let out at 2, 3 o'clock up till 8, 9 o'clock, getting people situated, grading stuff and all. So there is some kind of normalcy still happening, but it's crazy. You know, trying to teach a kid on the computer, it's a whole different way to think. They don't have to do it, so they don't all show up either. So reeling them in is tough. Not to bore you people, but that's what's happening a little bit over here.
No, nothing boring about it. I'll tell you what, Jonesy, I want to give you an opportunity to pop back in here, and I want to remind everybody, if you're having issues with the live stream, you guys know how it is. It's the internet, right? So if you want to listen without any interruptions, make sure you hit us over at WrestleTalkPodcast.com. You can listen to the blogtalkradio.com version of the show. It's audio only, but you can hear without any interruptions. It just depends on your own internet connection, on where you are and what your connection looks like. But I want to thank you guys all for the support. Jonesy, why don't you jump back in here, man, so we can close out this incredible interview with Kenny Casanova. I can't believe that we haven't had him on before. I'm a little ashamed, to be honest with you. I'm feeling a little guilty. So I know that there's got to be a part 2 because I feel like we're only scratching the surface at this point, and I'm sure you agree with that, right, Joe?
Absolutely. I just have one final question before and that question is, not only have you done stuff in professional wrestling and written books, but you are also you want to start writing?
Geez, I'm surprised you even dug that up. That's kind of impressive that you would know that. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it comes back to 12th grade. We had a very hippie. What was her name? Mrs. Schwartz, English teacher, Mrs. Schwartz. And what she wanted to do was have us write poems, and she had local artists come and turn the poems into like spoken word jazz songs. And it was
spoken words jazz songs, guys. The action is going to continue right here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. Still working on trying kind of show to you guys. So
and an electric guitarist, and they took my little poem and turned it into this crazy song, and I kind of read it, and people were snapping their fingers, and I was like, wow, this is super cool. And like that, I think that's the moment I became kind of creative when I look back, and then I wanted to write stuff. And what you saw online, I guess, of me writing for newspapers, I was writing a party planning blog because I'm also a wedding DJ, which actually spawned from wrestling, which is odd, which throws a whole nother weird layer to my skill set, I guess. My character as a manager around the ring, I was kind of like a lounge singer. So what we would do is we would play a karaoke track, and I would sing the entrance to my wrestler to the ring, and it would always be a shitty, god-awful song, worst thing I could think of, like a Tom Jones song or a Britney Spears to just make people pissed. What happened was that morphed into people saying, hey, will you come do karaoke at my party? Like, can you do? And I'm like, I'm not really a karaoke DJ, but I grabbed the sound guy from wrestling, and then we go over and we try to do it, and we got a couple bookings that way, and that spawned into a bar booking me weekly for that, and then that paid more than wrestling, and then that spawned into, hey, will you come DJ my wedding? And now weddings pay, man, they might pay $1,500, $2,000 for a really good wedding.
Mm-hmm.
As a manager on the independent scene, you're making $100, no $75, no $50. Hey, we didn't make a lot tonight. Here's a hot dog and a handshake. I mean,
yeah, well, and if it's your friend, and if it's your friend that's doing the promoting,
so
if it's your friend, $0.
Do I want to make $50 on a Saturday, or do I want to make $2,000? It's hard to turn away the ATM machine in 20. So, and that's when I kind of switched over to writing the books and doing, some of the boys' autobiographies for them, because I also had the writing background. So, I think that kind of puts me full circle and shows you all of like what I've done. There's a lot of stuff all at the same time. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. I know you have someone coming up. It sounds like you're trying to get to, and I'm not trying to end this, because man, I could talk forever on this stuff, and we really wanted to push that COVID con, give something back to the wrestling fans here too. So if you could plug that at the end of your show and mention that Madman
Sure.
too, that'd be awesome, man. Pretty much if you go to Facebook and you look for Wrestling Bookmarks, that's what we're calling the group, Wrestling Bookmarks COVID Con. We hope to have lots of people come out and check it out, because I don't want to disappoint guys like DDP, and Nick Aldis is probably going to be with us, and ODB, Typhoon, Lisa Manny Papo is going to be there, and then tons of great authors like Scott Teal will be there. He's a huge name. Kenny Boland's going to be with us. We've got we got a tag team panel where we're going to try to get one nasty boy, one bushwhacker, one of the smoking guns, kind of like that, and throw them all together and do a Q&A. So yeah, it's going to be a good time. We got Glacier going to be there.
It definitely sounds like it. But we want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come onto the
The Roni. Got Jonesy.
We'll probably until next time, you have a good night. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a 2-minute break, and when we come back, we will be doing the FWWC segment, and then we're going to get on to Mad Dog McDowell, so we will see you back in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And so, Timmy, play something good for the ladies and gentlemen. 913-548. You're going to be live on the on the Wrestle Talk podcast with John Renee. He'll be speaking with you, trying to get your name down. (913-548). You can be live on the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe Renee. He'll be speaking with so I can get your name down. All right. Put you back on hold.
Roll up, this is something you can definitely smoke to. In my past, so I take it up and to provoke you. A northern cat going down her daisy tubes, rolling downtown with a really crazy crew. One of a kind, one of a dime, look at a hell of a side clear move. This the mine, copycats will eventually die. Gotta hold composure, I'm not looking for exposure. I'm just trying to move this notion forward. Keep exploring, I know you know this most of these rappers are boring. Got me stalking, checking out, you know I ain't for it. That's why they feel me when I hit the voice and start recording. They're looking nervous, looking like the Rito couldn't afford it. I'm on this deal for my homies who ain't here. Happy God. From burning slow up on the kingdom, rising towards another level. Wood pusher, no bell, face gone, no Geppetto. A healer and a feeler, feeling like Hercules, Mercules. We can see it ain't nothing to me. I take personal time to spend my life on these lines. I don't give a fuck if you like it or not. Word is bond when I grab the mic and set it rocking to the early morn. What we on? Well, it's nothing but that Pines hope. You don't even need to worry about another thing, cause opportunities are endless that I'm gonna bring. A king around my way, but it never gets a ring.
913-548. You can be live on the Wrestle Show podcast with Joe Renee. He'll be speaking with you so I can get your name down.
What up, what up, what up, Wrestle Talk family? We are back, ladies and gentlemen. What an honor, what a pleasure to be back. Let that finish up. Joe, don't you interrupt me. I'm not any more disappointed in you, sir, because here's the bottom line. We're going to take a few moments before Mad Dog McDowell to talk to the members of the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion. So, Mad Dog, I know you're in the bullpen. Go ahead and grab yourself a couple cold beers. Grab yourself some bratwurst, some steak. Enjoy yourself. We'll be throwing to you here in just a couple of moments. People want a bit on their mind concerning world's premier fantasy wrestling. A little by more some of the stories that he shared, Big Bam Vader, Greg the Hammer Valentine, I feel like 25 minutes was just really not enough. So if you guys want to hear from Kenny Casanova and some of those fantastic stories, go ahead and let us know. DM us, shoot us a message on the comment section during this broadcast. get a hold of us some way, somehow. We're all over the place on social media. Let us know, because I would absolutely love to have another half hour, maybe even 40 minutes with Kenny Casanova, man. So many wonderful stories. And then, bro, Man Pondo, I mean, come on, you can't really get any better than that. Shout out to him. Shout out to John Cosper. Shout out to this incredible event that they're going to be hosting, where basically, okay, it's, what is it? It's Quarantine Con. That's what it is. It's Quarantine Con. Okay, Corona Con. All right, where you guys are going to get an opportunity to talk and hear from all the pro wrestling legends that you ever dreamed of getting a chance to spend some time with. It's all going to be on a live broadcast, and we're going to be sharing that with you immediately after tonight's episode over on the Wrestle Talk Podcast Facebook fan page. So make sure you guys are on the lookout for that. There's going to be a little bit of a fee, but it's going to go straight to the pro wrestling world, okay? And just like what we're doing, it's going to benefit those guys and girls who are not able to perform right now, very much like Mad Dog McDowell of the American Bulldogs from 3XW, who we're going to be talking to in just a matter of moments. But before we get there, I got a couple of callers to get through. I'm going to give everybody 45 seconds to a minute to come on and say what they got to say. I got no questions. Come on, talk your shit, and get out. We're going to start with El Luchador Podcast, FWWC. What's on your mind tonight, sir?
Man, I got a lot to say. Last night, I had another handicap match, and I won again. Thanks to, I guess the booking that was made possible. But I feel like a handicap match deserve a one-on-one match with probably that new Spartan Hearts champion Arden Murphy, and I don't know if Heel's listening. I would like to have it.
All right, well, Luchador, thank you so much for calling in and voicing your opinion. It sounds like he's listening right now. Okay? It's his job to listen. He better be listening, is all I'm going to say. Luchador to Kansas City sounds like he wants a crack, not only at Arden Murphy, but at that championship that he's holding. The Spartans, who he just... I know Nightmare Jones is listening from somewhere right now. Let's keep that in mind. Arden Murphy didn't only defeat Bishop, he didn't only defeat Big T, he also defeated the big bad El Matarata. So, how do you like them apples, Nightmare Jones? How do you like them apples? Let's go next to our current representing the Infinite brand, the one and only Hardcore Haas. Hardcore Haas, how are things up in the hills of West Virginia, my friend?
Everything's all right. And, Hardcore Haas, I think I'm doing pretty good. And after my match last night, I'm really pumped. I'm glad to have Joe aboard with the Hefty Boys. So everything's looking good for Hardcore Haas.
Well, Haas, I know I said that I wasn't going to have any questions, but I got a question. That Butkus is not a member of La Familia. He's given some sort of free pass to work with you guys as a member of the Hefty Boys. I'm wondering, what does El Mata have to say about all this?
Well, I talked to El Mata before anything ever happened, and El Mata gave me his blessing with it, and it's understood that, Butkus is not a member of La Familia, but he is okay to work with La Familia as long as he stays in his lane and doesn't cross us at all.
Okay, now, Hardcore Haas, I have to ask this question. So, a lot of people are wondering, are you sipping on Jimbo Slice's moonshine? Because it sounds like Okay, no, never mind. I think they were talking about Luchador. I think people are asserting that Luchador or you are intoxicated. Here's the $1 million question. Are you sipping on that good old West Virginia grandpa's cough medicine?
Well, of course, Hardcore Hoss will partake in that good old West Virginia cough medicine every now and then. Who doesn't partake in it?
I love it. Last question.
I even understand you've had some of it a time or two.
I've been very, very lucky. La Familia always trying to butter me up, sending me gifts. But guess what? I will drink it, but I won't even send a thank you card. Well, hey, listen, European champ, I know you care a lot about what you got going on. Can you tell us very, very quickly here why you think Infinite brand is the superior brand, even though you guys are down 1 point in round 1 of the FWFC brand battle?
Well, it's like I've said before. I know Inferno brand talks about being the best and being on fire, but fires can be put out. And Infinite is forever.
Wowzers, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Hardcore Hoss. And guess what? I'm getting a lot of hate messages right now. Where is Mad Dog McDowell? We miss the Union. We miss the American Bulldogs. We want to hear from one of the very best in Midwest Pro Wrestling. Hold your horses. Here's what we're going to do for you guys. Give us a few more minutes. We're going to get through the FWWC, and we're going to give you 15 bonus minutes of the Wrestle Talk podcast, because I've got to take a moment and thank a gentleman who is not only a loyal member of the Wrestle Talk family, Jonesy, he's also the Intercontinental Champion in the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion. And this gentleman, okay, Cody, a.k.a. the King of Bleach, has just committed to purchasing a Wrestle Talk podcast mug. And you know what? That ain't nothing to sneeze about. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the show, the Bleacher himself, the one and only K.O.B., the King of Bleach Style. Bravo, bravo. K.O.B., 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 you got a couple of seconds here on the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Renee. What's on your mind tonight, sir?
On the mind of the Bleach, have you become the champion? Your boy has a little thing up to say. And coming up there, what is it? On Monday, it was a tag team. I'm gonna beat the shit out of them, and then I'm gonna beat the shit out of them, and then
Wow. Okay, well, it sounds like the King now got a stimulus check. Where do you get this? And your fans are absolutely loyal to you. It's like, but people that are into it. Where do you get this crazy energy?
Nobody actually knows this.
That, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Bleacher, congratulations on continuing to give us the most interesting reign in FWWC Intercontinental history. Thank you so much for supporting the Wrestle Talk podcast. And from what I understand, based on your selection of the Wrestle Talk podcast mug, your favorite, or you want to donate your portion of the mug that goes to your favorite wrestler, promotion, or charity, is you're donating it to Ref Pinky. So, Ref Pinky, shout out to you. Credit to you. It sounds like you're resonating with the fans. We're going to be a hold of you, and half of our profit from the mug go see you. So congratulations, and thank you, Cody. This is OOC for supporting not only the Wrestle Talk podcast, but some of your favorite talent in the professional wrestling business, legit, outside the wrestling, the fantasy stuff. Well, listen, guys, we're only a couple down. This is what WC as the top champion. Not the Intercontinental, not the US, the top champion. The Warriors Heart champion. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in one of the most prestigious members of the city.
I do my entrances so good, bro. So not a big question of you. This is going to be the outcome of what happened at your. I'm not sure if you noticed on the thread, but there was trolling of Nightmare Jones receiving money. You can only see a hand. You can't see the person he's getting it from, but it's obvious. He is a very good actor. We've seen multiple characters of Nightmare Jones. He plays a ref, and he acted very, very well. He even fooled me. As you see the look of shock, and if you replay the match whenever he did my counts and everything was perfect and right.
I did.
Until the very end, when I was about to achieve victory, he kicked me right in my match, and Haas just makes an embarrassment, and then Nightmare Jones makes an embarrassment of what the Warriors Heart Championship stands for and me. You see, Haas could have solidified maybe a shot again at one and more respect. He took the La Familia way out, the easy way out, and I want to know what is going to be the outcome of this.
Well, answers, and Nightmare Jones is always lurking, okay? But before we see if we can summon Nightmare Jones, I think there's an individual who may be able to shed a little bit more light on this situation. Ladies and gentlemen, what a privilege it is to have on the general manager of the Infinite brand. Now, we're limited on time, so Tank Westbrook, can you join us for just a quick moment and tell us what your thoughts are concerning this situation?
A quick minute, but listen here. You know, I put my faith into Hoss. I put him as my very first pick of the rounds, of the brand, of the year 3 brand battle. Yes, I, Tank Westbrook, part of SOF, thought I could trust Hardcore Hoss, being La Familia. Saber Sane, I know you're probably listening right now, and you know, I clearly saw this. I went back and tried to find videotapes. I could not get a clear vision of this. I could not see who was handing him the money, but I did see Nightmare Jones receiving some money. And Hoss, for you to possibly be part of this, here's what I got to tell you. You are being suspended from action on Friday. Hardcore Hoss, you are not allowed to be in any action on Friday. Nightmare Jones, for this incident, you will be in a match one-on-one with the Warriors Heart champion, Savior Saint, this Friday.
Let's go. Let's go. Woo! You want the smoke, Jonesy, you're going to get it. It ain't no cliche saying. You're going to find out what it means this Friday. Bring them on. Bring them on. Let's go. Let's
Straight down the middle, right? Is that not what
it ain't
have kids one day. Maybe and Chances might want to have kids one day, and you're gonna mess that up. And speaking of Chances, beat you her first match, and then you never beat her career. So
you know what?
I know you don't want that smoke, Jonesy. I know you don't want that.
Here's the whole thing. You should be thanking me because I saved you from popping out a kid.
All right. Everybody to their corners. Everybody to their corners. From what I understand is the final word versus Infinite Brand. You guys do not want to miss it. My apologies to everybody else on hold. We need to get to Mad Dog McDowell. We got to give the man the 15, 20 minutes that he rightfully deserves. So thank you, FWWC, for making this show so absolutely entertaining. More information on the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion by visiting WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Go over to the fantasy wrestling tab. You can go to our Facebook link. That's where most of the action goes down. Thank you to everybody who contributed and anybody who's still waiting on hold. My sincerest apologies. We absolutely have to get to our second featured guest of the evening, Mad Dog McDowell. So thank you guys for contributing. And again, remember, more FWWC shenanigans every Friday on the FWWC Tonight, sponsored by the Wrestle Talk Podcast with Joe and Renee. You can find that podcast. Have a great night. We're going to go ahead and move on because you know it is time to bring in a guy that I have personally had the opportunity to see in action for multiple promotions, including Metro Pro Wrestling and NWL. And I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of sad news in our area here as of late because just yesterday it was announced that Journey Pro Wrestling will be looking for a new home. Kansas Hall has officially closed down, and it's all because of this dumbass COVID-19. But you know what? Fortunately for us, when things return to normal, we have 3XW. Oh, thank goodness, we have 3XW, where you can see one of the premier tag team wrestlers in Midwest history in action as one half of the American Bulldogs alongside John West. Great guy. Black Wrestlers Matter. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hit some music. It is an honor and a pleasure to welcome back to the Wrestle Talk Podcast, the one and only Mad Dog McDowell.
What's going on, Mad Dog? How you doing tonight, sir?
What's going on, guys? I'm doing good.
Oh, good. We are glad that you were able to take time out of your busy schedule to come onto the podcast. So what's been new with Mad Dog? How have you been holding up, sir?
Well, luckily I'm fortunate enough to be one of those guys that are able to work from home and stuff, and the family during all this craziness right now. But we were gearing up to be pretty damn busy here this early spring until this pandemic came around and just kind of knocked everything off of the schedule.
Absolutely, yeah. This coronavirus has really screwed everybody up. So I guess the one thing I wanted to talk about is 3XW. What is somebody that's never seen 3XW? What can somebody expect by watching a 3XW show?
We pride ourselves on having some of these, what we call our show, come on our shows. We have a family show. We try to bring out best values in the Midwest at our shows, and WWE is quick on their heels, but I think outside of that, and I think you're going to find the show better produced and put together than 3X Wrestling.
I would not disagree. I mean, I should just say. I mean, 3XW8 on professional wrestler. And I guess in my next question, before I throw it back to with another guy by the name of John West. How did you all become a tag team?
Well, at the time, before John, I was pretty fun chemistry together between the big guy and the little guy. But we were in a tag tournament, and we went through a gauntlet and finally won. But at the end, a bunch of heels, I think it was Devin Carter and Casanova, some names from the past, came out and they put the boots to crotch, and he had to go on injury. So we had to relinquish the titles for a tag tournament. And so we were kind of looking around, and there's a new up-and-coming kid called John West. Here that might be a good fit. And
real I'll get into those. I love those guys about wrestling is much no different than the way the American Bulldogs feel.
for sure. I mean, they're one of my favorite tag teams, too. I loved wrestling. We beat each other, and it's one of the best those guys.
Badass.
We faced a ton of teams. The only team that I'm really sad we never got to beat with is the Briscoe brothers.
Now, Joe, I know you can speak to that, bro, being up on the Eastern Panhandle, right around the corner from Ring of Honor, bro. The American Bulldogs versus the Briscoes, as far as I'm concerned, that can still happen. Somebody book that shit after quarantine is over, pretty please, just for me.
We would love to. We definitely trade this.
What? Now I don't want to take up all of the time. So Renee, why don't you come in here with whatever questions?
I want to have good questions for you. You know, I've actually seen work. I've seen you in action. And one thing that I was curious about, and I know I'm going back into the past a little bit, was your time in the NWL. The NWL, we talked to Man Pondo, we talked to Kenny Casanova tonight, and they both talked about something fairly similar, and that was the promotions and how they take care of their guys, and then like the lack thereof. So I know NWL did something a little bit different for some of the talent, and that was provide them with full-time contracts, insurance, and the whole nine. I know that's something we've never seen here before in the Midwest, and most wrestling companies don't do it. I'm curious, for somebody who had already been an established talent in the business before NWL came around, how was it for you when you were introduced to the concept, and how excited were you?
Yeah, it was a kind of a dream come true, especially a lot of those Kansas City guys.
Major Basin was a great guy, and he had some great ideas and some great inspirations. It's just everybody's guilty of it. I was guilty of it. I'm sure Chris Goff was guilty of it at the time. That's the dream of being able to. So a lot of times you hear, we've never tried it, so we need to see if it works or not. And that's a very decent tracks and stuff, it was great. I was on a part-time contract more, so I think there's probably about 10 on a full-time. And for those guys, that was just a dream come true for them. They were able to finally wrestle, 2-3 times a week and not have to worry about the day job or anything, and they could train all day. And they got everything taken care of, and they could just concentrate on wrestling. And a lot of wrestling, a lot of came out of that because of it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, and we've had the likes of Hoodie just recently. They all share the same sentiment. Let me ask you this question. So what does a guy like you do during the quarantine? Are you keeping up with pro wrestling? What did you think about the news that the WWE is going to be able to continue to operate? And how anxious does it make you to not be able to compete on a regular basis when it's something that you've been doing for the last handful of years, pretty much every weekend? Is it you feeling anxious? You getting any cabin fever, Mad Dog?
Yeah, there's I had a lot of stuff geared up. We had a lot of matches going. I was training for a natural powerlifting contest. I just turned 45 in February, and I'm still going strong. I don't know if you know, I've been tagging with the Barbarian Nate Red Wing as a horde, and we've been doing that too. And you're teaming up with somebody like that, you got to bring the power too. You just so there's a lot of stuff I was getting ready for. We're training again. You're out of the gym and trying to find out that barbell to my weight. I gotta lift stuff and stuff here at home. So yeah, there's a lot of stir craziness and just wanting to get out and start doing stuff and the edge that you'd worked so hard on trying to get before this all happened.
Dude, no doubt about it. And I know we're all anxious for things to get back to normal. Obviously, you probably heard the regrettable news of what's going on over at Kansas Hall with Journey Pro Wrestling and them having to find a new home. I know that you've been around long enough to have that experience where you've got something good going and then the rug gets swept out from underneath you. Being a veteran of the game, Mad Dog, what words of encouragement would you send over to Gabe, Walter, and DJ and the rest of the boys over in the Journey Pro locker room, considering the recent news?
I've been absolutely impressed with what they've done that past year and kind of taken the baton and running with it after NWL's closing, and especially for being in the business for a short time, even though they did it every year. So they kind of gained some years in that retrospect. But, it happens all the time. We're kind of in the same boat. We're trying to go between venues, and venues are hard to come by, and especially when some iconic like they had, and just having shut down really sucks. But you just kind of keep going, you keep looking, and you keep thinking outside the box, and stuff comes up, especially when you have a quality product. People are going to come to you also, and you just got to take the advantages. We always say, there's no really such thing as luck. Luck is just hard work and putting yourself in opportunities way time and time and time again to make it have the appearance of luck, and that's what they're going to do, and I think they're going to come out stronger for it.
Now, Mad Dog, and I hate to ask a guest to repeat themselves, but just in case the people in the back were getting a new beer or refilling their popcorn, say that one more time, because I think that everybody needs to hear what you just said, especially during these times.
Well, like I said, I've been really impressed with what they've done in Kansas City, and like I was talking about luck, it's hard work and putting yourself in opportunities way time and time again to give the appearance of luck. And those guys work really hard, and they have a real quality product. So people are going to come to them, and they're going to continue looking. They've got smart heads on their shoulders, and they're going to find different venues and think it outside the box, and they'll come out stronger for it.
Wow, dude. Well, thank you so much for doing that, because I want to make sure people understand there's always light there's always light at the end of the tunnel as long as you're looking up and not down. So the last thing that I wanted to ask you before I throw it back to Joe, Mad Dog, is thinking about your particular career. You're obviously now working with Nate, aka Red Wing. A lot of people absolutely love and respect that man. But you've had quite the track record over at 3XW, at Metro Pro Wrestling, NWL. Can you talk to us about some of your personal career highlights, some of the things that you look back upon fondly throughout your career? Maybe sharing the locker room with some pro wrestling legend, because you know we love name dropping here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, or maybe a match with some up-and-comer that people never heard of before. So what are some of the highlights for you personally, Mad Dog McDowell?
I really enjoyed all the time at 3XW between running the tag titles and there's a program I work with, Beard City Bruiser, Matt Winchester. They're the bouncers now over at ROH and NWL. We have a really good program that hopefully we can start putting it online and people can see again. But, working with Jim Duggan was definitely a career changer for me, and the insights of talking to him and what it means to be a pro wrestler and how to be a pro wrestler. All my times with Jeremy Wyatt and Mark Sterling, I owe the world to those guys also for my wrestling training and like the Derek Stones and stuff. Those are the guys that really kind of gave me the education I needed to move forward. And just the matches with them are probably my best, absolutely, by far. And then working with, like, the Hooligans. And then working over in Chicago, it's sometimes when I was able to get on AEW, or we were working for Windy City and with San Cesaro. I mean, Windy City used to be one of the premier in the whole entire world. And wrestling like that was just an absolute times we get us at Wells Fargo Arena here in Des Moines. Nobody else has done that besides WWE. And then the time when I was on WWE for the SmackDown, I was a manager for one of the girls there against Natalia, and then looking down on Ryback when he was there, getting pissed because I was bigger than him.
Yes.
So, different things like that,
Dude, that's so dope. And by the way, and Mad Dog, I know you're a man who respects history. I know you're a guy that's not only worked in, in Kansas, in Missouri, and in the states within that region. Then you've also worked in Illinois and Chicago, like you just mentioned with AEW. Much respect to the legendary Herb Simmons, who is tuning into the show tonight. We love you. And I also thought I saw Gilbert a little bit earlier. So Dwayne Gill, we love you to death, man. Thank you for supporting us here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Jonesy, I know I said I was going to throw it over to you, bro, but I had one last quick thing for Mad Dog. Mad Dog, throughout your career, you've been known for being like the powerhouse, right? Like the bigger guy. You said you were bigger than Ryback. You probably heard or maybe saw the comments that he made a little bit earlier concerning Vince McMahon and the WWE. And just because of the fans in general, everybody watches WWE, no matter who you support. Did you hear those comments? And I'm curious, what were your thoughts on what Ryback had to say?
He's butthurt right now. I mean, he's looking at. I mean, he's still a premier athlete, and he still could be doing stuff, and he's just looking in. But I think, I don't know him personally, but his attitude probably sucks a little bit. And, then they got rid of him, and he thought he could do the Cody Rhodes, but unfortunately, he's not Cody Rhodes or has that blood in him. So looking in, he's just kind of a little bit jealous, I think. And I kind of feel bad for those wrestlers still having to wrestle a little bit during this time down in Florida, and I don't know if they're an essential business or not per se, But, you know, they're the WWE. They got the top of everything. And I saw that they're going to do just like what every other business in America right now is. They're taking the temperatures at the door and stuff and make sure if anybody's sick, they're staying home and everybody's in masks beforehand. So they're doing what they have. Company that's having to work right now, and you know they might not be essential in the sense to where their communication or food or medicine and that like, but they do provide a service, and wrestling is in America's blood, whether people like to admit it or not.
Mad Dog, can I say this?
Like
Mad Dog, at the risk of interrupting somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about, here's how I put it together. And if you're not listening to the Wrestle Talk podcast right now, shame on you, as Dak Draper would say. But I think WWE is not truly essential, but neither are liquor stores, and liquor stores are open. Okay, we need a certain amount of entertainment to keep us pacified, and if we don't at least get some goddamn professional wrestling and a couple of cold beers, that's un-American, goddammit. So as far as I'm concerned, pro wrestling is essential, because if I don't get wrestling and if I don't get beer, we're gonna riot, damn it. So if you don't believe me. If you don't believe me, just ask Mad Dog McDowell, because I know he loves him some cold beer and he loves him from pro wrestling. But I thought I would correlate those two things because liquor stores are open and you can make an argument that they're not essential either. But if they weren't open, shit would be off the chain, and nobody wants that. Nobody. Right, Mad Dog?
That's for sure. You know, you still have to quell the masses a little bit, you know. Stay home and do what you got to do and whatnot. Hopefully come out for this better, and maybe we've had some time to reflect on what what the true meaning of life is and our priorities and such. But America's America, and they always come out stronger on the other end, and I have no doubt about that. Regardless who's in that White House right now or who's going to be in that White House, it's the Americans that matter, and it's Americans that lead the way every time.
Every single time. Jonesy, any final thoughts or questions before we get into tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge?
I do. I just have one final question, and that is, after all of this is said and done, and after this coronavirus is gone, and we're able to get back in
you know, like I said, me and John are hungry, me and Red Wing are hungry, and everybody's hungry. So I still got a lot of fuel left in the tank, and I'm still going to go out there and punch some people in the face. You know, it's interesting you talk about Herb Simmons over in Illinois and in Missouri and Broadway and stuff like that. I'm looking to go that direction again, get back into the Missouri area. I'm looking back to get in Chicago, looking back to get into Kansas City and start this game and just really kind of starting to run the roads a little bit again before it's all said and done.
Yes. That's good news. That's good news from Joe, that's good news for pro wrestling fans everywhere, I would say. I think we can agree on that. That is good news for pro wrestling fans everywhere. Right, Jonesy?
100%. 100%. That's good news for pro wrestling fans everywhere.
All righty, folks.
So we got some really good fires in 3XW coming your guys' way, too.
There you go, man. And, hey, some of my favorite ones, man. Jay Fowler is one of my favorites, man. I know. Shout out to Todd Countryman. Some people may know who he is. Some people may not know who he is, but that dude's got a whole lot to do with the success of 3XW. So shout out to him and everybody that continues to contribute to the sport of professional wrestling. I can't wait. I've never been to a 3XW show, and I'm guilty because I've hit at least 15 promotions in the Midwest. But you know what? When things kick off for the remainder of 2020, that's me crossing my fingers. That's definitely going to be on my 2020 bucket list. All that said, Mad Dog, we want to go ahead and harness some of that aggression that we know is inside of you, that competitive aggression, in tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge, where you and my partner in crime, Nightmare Jones, will go one-on-one in a little bit of a trivia challenge. I know you're not a guy that's likely to back down from a challenge, but the question is, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Jonesy, are you ready?
I was born ready, sir.
Oh my goodness, you're so corny.
Born ready.
You're so corny. All right, intern Timmy, you know what to do. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get in to tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Hit the music. Oh my gosh, intern Timmy totally stepping up his game in the second hour, letting the song play, bringing it down nice and slow. Well done, intern Timmy, well done. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's installment of the world-famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Tonight's guests are scheduled for a best 2 out of 3 falls. Excuse me. Our contestants, Nightmare Jones and Mad Dog Mcdowell, are going to be facing off tonight. In a few moments, I will ask you 3 questions about a particular professional wrestling topic. Whenever you think you know the answer, all you have to do is shout it out. The first person to win 2 out of 3 falls will win tonight's Game Show Challenge. Do you two gentlemen understand the rules?
Yes.
Got it.
All right. In honor of tonight's guest, the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge category is Famous Tag Teams. Again, it is Famous Tag Teams. I will give you information about 3 famous professional wrestling tag teams. When you think you know who I'm talking about, simply shout out your answer. Again, the first person with 2 out of 3 falls will win tonight's contest. Are you gentlemen ready to go?
Ready.
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and kick it off with question number 1. Question number 1. This professional wrestling tag team began as a stable in Southeast Championship Wrestling. They moved on to become one of the greatest tag teams in professional wrestling history, competing in Mid-South Wrestling, World Class Championship Wrestling, and the NWA and WCW. In September 1988, while holding the NWA United States Tag Team Championship, won the NWL, in September 1988, they were, while holding the NWA United States Tag Team Championships, they also won the NWA World Tag Team Championships. Managed by often outspoken manager James E. Cornette, please name this tag team.
Midnight Express.
The Midnight Express.
The Midnight Express is correct. Nightmare Jones late to the punch. Currently, score of 1-0. The one and only Mad Dog McDowell.
No.
Great job. Well, a little bit late on that.
Right now.
A little bit late on that one, Jonesy. Again, the score is 1-0. American Bulldogs 1, Nightmare Jones 0. Question number 2. This professional wrestling tag team won the PWI Tag Team of the Year award in 1995 and in 1996. At one time, managed by...
Boys.
What was that? Say that again, Mad Dog.
It was Dudley Boys, but that might have been too early.
No, sorry, a little early, yes. At one time, they were managed by Sherry Martel. This tag team holds the record for the most...
Dude.
Harlem Heat. Mad Dog, did you say Harlem Heat?
Harlem Heat.
And that is correct. That is correct.
Got him. Got him.
With 2 out of 3 falls, Mad Dog McDowell is our winner. But you know what? We believe in redemption here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. And we also believe in resilience, right, Nightmare Jones? So we're going to give you an opportunity to not get swept by one of the greatest tag team wrestlers in Midwest wrestling history. Here's question number 3. This professional wrestling tag team hold the record for the most tag team championship reigns in both the WWF and in WCW. Oh, over the course. What?
The Road Warriors, Legion of Doom.
That is incorrect. Over the course of their tag team career, they have held over 20 major championships, including the ECW, NWA, IWGP.
Yeah.
The Dudley Boys is correct, Nightmare Jones, but unfortunately, it is too late. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner of tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge, one of the greatest competitors in Midwest wrestling history, not only as a singles competitor, but also as a tag team competitor, the one and only Mad Dog McDowell. Enter Timmy, hit that music! Hey! All we do is
win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there.
Congratulations, Mad Dog. Thank you so much for being a loyal member of the Wrestle Talk family, man. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Sorry for being late, but we promised we were going to give you your full 30 minutes, and here it is. Wrestle Talk Podcast with Joe and Renee, man. Anything you want to say to your friends, family, the boys in the back, or the fans of Mad Dog McDowell and the American Bulldogs, man? Anything on your mind?
You guys keep doing what you're doing, entertaining the fans. Wrestling's going to come back bigger than ever. Everybody's going to be starved, and it's going to be a good thing. And keep going at it. Keep your heads up.
There it is, Nightmare Jones. Any final thoughts for our second featured guest on episode 293 of the Wrestle Talk Podcast, Mad Dog McDowell? Jonesy?
Oh man, just thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on to the show. You were great the first time. You were great the time, and I know you're going to be just as awesome the next time.
Mad Dog, thanks so much, man. You have yourself a great night, and we will catch you down the road, brother.
That was good. Thanks, guys.
Good night. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. That is the conclusion of episode 293. Grace and peace to everybody. We will catch you guys next time. And remember, we're available to you 24/7 over at WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Let's close it out, baby. Peace. And yes, the city too much ground tonight could have easily gone a whole hour. That, like, if you guys really go back but if you guys go back and listen, that guy's got so many stories that, like I said, we couldn't cover it in 4 shows. Like, somebody had to write a book about this dude to try to capture his wonder how lucky are you? You know, and if you don't believe me, do the research like that. 25 minutes. What's also very difficult is, like, the FWWC, somehow we squeeze in 5 or 6 callers in about 15 minutes. Which, if you guys know anything about the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion, each caller can easily go like 10 minutes. Because everybody there knows what they're doing and what they're talking about. And they can not only talk about what they've got going on, their programs, but they can also talk about their brand and maybe even like some of the other brands' stuff. So to try to squeeze all that in to 15, 20 minutes, we had to leave off one of the GMs tonight. I mean, if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what will. Shout out to Todd. Shout out to Cody for purchasing the mugs tonight. I'll get a hold of y'all, and I'll get working on getting a designer to put your names on it, custom, like as promised. So thank you guys for that. I know we didn't get Jay Hollywood today, but I want to shout them out again. Pat Milicic, Jay Hollywood. How blessed are we to have a UFC Hall of Famer supporting us? And a guy like Jay Hollywood that's got swagger. You can't even really put it into words. Shout out to Mad Dog. I think of Mad Dog. I think of Derek Stone, of Mark Sterling. I think of Matt Jackson. I think of Jeremy Wyatt, Michael Strider. Like, we got something special here. And now, like, the new gen, right? Like Journey, XWE, KCX, like, we about to wreck some shit. Like, when we come back, and I'm lucky to play a part, either directly or indirectly with all of them. Like Journey, we promote them. Wrestle Talk. I work for XWE. I work for KCXW. I've run a show for Royal Alliance. So I try to do what I can to keep this shit growing, right? Because I want more wrestling in the city that I live in. My city is La Cienega in Mexico, or Palm Beach, Florida. Those are my cities. But I live in KC now. I'm an adopted son, and I wanted to do well here. Just like if I still lived down in Boca, I'd want them to do well, you know, because that's just how we get down. That's how the family gets down. But it was really great to see Sean in here. It was really great to see Ant in here. Colton, thank you for being here. It's crazy, like, how we create this network, this community. My man Diablo, Vinsanity, the hottest in time and space. Thank you. Shout out to my West Virginia folk. Shout out to my brother Marcus. Shout out to La Familia. Nightmare Jones, best co-host of all time. Shout out to Mr. Mills, the originator, creator, the head administrator. Shout out to everybody talking shit. Where was Daniel at tonight? Shout out to Saver Saint, SOF calling in. I'm always giving them shit for not calling in the podcast, and Savior came in and killed that shit. So respect. Somebody tell him I said I love that dude. You got brought up today. Miss you, sis. Wish you were still around. But even if it's this shitty podcast, my wife, she was here early. Love, man.